you, sir?
Bill.
How you guys doing?
You didn't.
Right,
you didn't
still
just hear
working.
that. You didn't just hear that last 2 minutes, did you?
No, it didn't piss me off. Don't worry.
Oh, good. Well, let's get right to it then.
Speaking of being pissed off,
you seem to be all over the place. Larry David, of course, did an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where he takes some kind of drug because he's having urinary problems, and when he urinates at an employee's house, a picture of Jesus is up on the wall, and some of his urine gets up by the picture of Jesus' eye, and the people in the house go in the bathroom afterwards, after Larry leaves, and say, oh my God, it's a miracle, because they think the picture is crying, and they want to take this on tour. Now, obviously, Bill, you have a problem with this. Basically, what is your take on it, and why the problem?
Well, most of the stuff that seems to cross my desk lately is always gratuitous. It comes out of nowhere. It's not even integral or functional to the show. So you wonder, what is it about the writers that they feel a need to? Let's see now. What can we do? How can we tick off Catholics? Obviously, nobody would piss on Obama, because then you'd be a racist and you'd be obscene, and we know all about that.
Ain't been to my house.
Yeah, I mean, these, or as I say, listen, we can put some feces on a picture of the mother of Larry David, and then just see how much he wants to laugh about it.
You know what, though? I watched the episode last night. Just to prep for this, Bill, I do prep for you. And what I saw was something that was kind of, if you have a knowledge of Curb Your Enthusiasm, it was integral to the story, because it is outrageous, and he does put himself in these odd, very awkward situations. I don't think it was gratuitous. I don't think it was prolonged. It was something that had happened. And it wasn't as if he was doing it to desecrate Jesus on purpose, or the image of Jesus. It was part of the story, as we've seen in the news many times. People proclaiming they see miracles happening with Jesus crying or Mary bleeding. Why would you take this as being any more than that?
It's a cheap shot, and it's always Jesus, or it's always a Catholic priest or a nun. It's never anybody else's religion. You don't think
so?
This way in emos. It's the same old nonsense. I mean, and if it's not with them, I just put out a statement just now. We look at these Halloween costumes. Okay, some immigrant groups are complaining because they have an illegal aliens out there. We know when there was a Danish cartoon of Muhammad, people led to violence in the street. Now, there are costumes of nuns and priests out there which are fine. There's costumes of Jesus, which I think are funny, as well as imams and ministers and rabbis. But there's only one costume where it shows one clergyman with an erection, and the other one is a pregnant person. I'm talking about a Catholic priest and a pregnant nun. Now, it's not being carried in Walmart and Target.
Right. I've seen that over the years. When I was a kid, I used to see people do that.
Bill Donahue. Sir, Bill Donahue, sir.
Oh, this is Patrice O'Neal.
Do you think God needs your help in these matters?
No, I don't.
So why don't you just stop? That's all I'm saying. Why don't you just stop being the representative for God? I heard you say I about 3 times. Here's my problem. I always have to make things racial. How come the upsetness is not the fact that Jesus always looks like Charles Manson instead of what he really is, somebody from the Middle East?
No, he wasn't. He was the son of God, and God, we all know, is a white man.
Why doesn't that offend you? Why is the fact that he looks like a session drummer?
I think, you know what I think? I think we need more Amos and Andy and Little Black Sambo.
Yeah, we do. This is what he wants, because everything is really it's like snitching. It's like, why don't I? How come we can't do? You can if you want, but you don't make fun of anything. So you want people to not make fun, to have fun, make fun. What about the Joker face that everybody wants?
We can make a. She got to
do your thing. Do your thing, Bill. Let's hear a good Michelle joke. Let's go, baby. I'll laugh if it's funny.
Her ass is a little big.
Go ahead.
You get my point.
No, I don't get your point. No.
Sure you do.
You just. I don't care.
Yeah.
How about I don't care?
Believe me, you would.
Really? No, you don't know me. That's what I'm saying. I'm not you.
Wait. What do you got on Al Sharpton?
Al Sharpton would be the first one to go for your head, of course, if anything like this happened. We saw what happened with Isaac on that.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that one more time we got this duplicitous, hypocritical people out there who say, oh, no, leave off the gays. Oh, I could have some fun with some gay costumes. Let me tell you about that. But they ain't going to go there, are they? They're
just
over and over and over again.
But you're not giving me any reason. It's like
any reason.
It's like
what?
no, wait a minute. It's like sometimes it's like you ever have a woman and she says something's not funny or something you think is not funny, right? And then you go, okay, well, make it funny for me. What can you please tell me, say something that makes me go, you know what funny is.
Well, did you think what Larry David did was funny?
It could have been. He should have been able to do it.
Could have been. Was it funny?
Did you? I don't think Patrice actually saw it,
the tear I did. I saw the clip. And the two women that got on their knees and thought he was really crying.
Okay, you did see the
he was making fun of those goofs as opposed to pee on Jesus.
Yeah, it wasn't a desecrating
You're being
Jesus
literal.
thing.
He's just making fun of the Catholic woman. Is that what it is?
No, it was making fun of...
they're hilarious.
You don't think people are a little crazy?
You guys don't even see it, do you? You can't even connect the dots. You're so clear.
You're not connecting the dots.
No, I do.
You're being self... I don't even want to say righteous, but you're just... Dude, stop.
I think Larry David was making fun of the fact that people find like the image of Jesus or the Virgin Mary and like in English muffin, and then next thing you know they're traveling around the country showing everybody, and people blindly believe that something actually happened there.
And that's not Jesus. Again, that's a white guy. It's a white guy with long, delicious hair.
Let him speak. Yes, Bill.
Look, you've got fringe people in every demographic group in society, and the question is, why is it not legitimate fair then to pick on that fringe group within other different groups?
Larry David,
you're not allowed to do so.
Larry David makes many Jewish jokes about himself on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Nothing vulgar, nothing obscene. I mean,
no, but it's very stereotypical Jewish.
Yeah, but you know what? Again, if as I just gave you an example, I don't care even about costumes of Jesus and priests and nuns, as long as they're just making some light fun of them, as they do others. But when you have the kinds of vulgar stuff that I described, and it's only my group, my clergy, my religious, then you have to begin to wonder, why is it? Why do we have this pattern over and over again?
Can you tell me which verse?
He is a crusader.
Can you tell me which?
It's a victimizing. You're victimizing. Again, you're victimizing Catholicism. You're victimizing because you're like, it's the reason why I can't listen. It's the reason why I can't say nigga no more. White people have figured out a way to get black people not to say nigga no more by saying the N-word. Because if you can't have fun, nobody can. So you think Christianity's under attack, but it ain't. It's a Jesus joke. And you still didn't answer me. Bill, you still didn't answer me about this white Jesus. You still didn't answer it.
What about white Jesus? I don't care about
what if I'm offended that Jesus is always white when he's from the Middle East?
Well, I mean, that's not vulgar. That's a matter of interpretation.
Why aren't you upset about that?
The Catholic League, we don't.
Okay.
There have been pictures of Jesus.
If you're upset about
care about that.
If you're upset about a figurative act of defamation against fake Jesus, but it's a fake Jesus.
Picture of your mother, you're not going to get upset.
It's a fake portrayal of Jesus.
I don't believe you for a moment.
You don't believe yourself. You're just trying to stop people from having fun. Stop. Leave people alone that like to have fun.
A lot more people agree with me than they agree with you.
Yes, why don't you just go into rooms with them and leave people who are funny alone?
Tell your friend Al Sharpton and his buddies at the
There you go, my friend.
Because he's black, he's his friend.
There you go, Bill. We know what you really are. You're going to slip up if you keep talking,
black people
Bill.
know each other.
I agree with Bill on this one.
You're going to slip up, and the real R word's going to come out. The R word.
What's the R word?
I'm not saying it.
Oh, you know what it is?
I don't know what it is.
What's the R word?
It's the R word.
If you use the N word, you're an R.
Not exactly, but you know what the N word is.
You're an R if you use the N word.
Yeah, you're an R if you use the N.
I have no idea what the R word is.
Of course you don't.
Hey, Bill, if you get mad enough, you could call him, what you want to call him.
Go ahead, say it, Bill. It's in your heart. Let it go. Don't let it fester, Bill. Get it out. You've already been saying it in this condescending manner. What if I put Amos and Andy, huh, Mr. Negro? How about your friend Al Sharpton? How about your friend White Jesus?
Let him talk.
I'm just showing what a phony you are.
No, you're not.
Oh, shit.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You're not
Little
fun.
Black Sambo with his
You're
erection.
not fun.
Little Black Sambo.
We getting ready. Hey, what do you? There you go. That's what Bill really is. That's what he really is. That's what you really are.
Yeah, I know.
You see the anger? He came on very diplomatic. Very diplomatic.
You try to justify bigotry against one group, but then you get upset when
I don't.
When it comes back.
No, I didn't.
Face.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you
No, I
kind of
didn't.
did. You kind of did.
Say what? What
You
I
kind of did.
What did I
You
do?
kind of did.
What did I
You
do?
kind of did.
Just tell me what I did.
You kind of did.
Tell me what I did.
I just fucking with you.
No. I'm asking Bill.
To Bill.
Bill,
All right,
what did
Bill.
I do, Bill? What did I get mad about?
My point is simply this: everybody has a hot button, whether it be Jesus or Muhammad or a black minister, whoever it might be.
Or funniness.
All you
Go
got to
ahead.
do is find that button and you press it, and you get the same reaction.
Yeah,
All
the
I'm
button
saying
I'm
is
pushing
that
with you.
There's a tendency in our culture to push the buttons of Catholics more than any other group. That's
Okay,
all
when
I'm
did this start?
saying.
Has this been historic or has this started yesterday?
Leviticus. It
This has
started
been around
Leviticus.
for a while, fellas. Let me
You know
tell
when it started? It started when people started paying attention to people like you, Bill. When we started going, uh-oh, Bill said something, so we got to be scared of it. Bill,
I didn't say to be
just stay
scared.
out of fun business. You know what Xbox 360 is, Bill?
Stick to stoning women that are unholy. Let's go back to the rules on when it's okay to enslave people or when it's okay to turn your daughter out as a whore. Let's go Old Testament right now. If you want to talk about
And
offensive,
this is a white guy talking now, by the way.
I'm not
Bill.
black at all.
He looks like Jesus,
I'm
actually.
from Oklahoma.
Yeah, actually, he does
Laszlo looks like Jesus,
Larry
Bill
has
Donahue.
this shitty shirt that proves he's white.
I bought this in Oklahoma. It's all Teeners.
And Bill,
Western Outfitters.
Wait. And just so Bill knows, Laszlo will be going to hell with what he does with his life.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so there's a guarantee there, stuff.
I'm with
Hey,
you, sir. I don't
what
like
is HBO
Patrice.
saying about what you're saying, Bill?
Same
You
thing.
get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, you think you're going to get an apology or any reaction to this by HBO or Larry David?
No.
Listen, Bill Maher has been defending Catholics for years. There's something pathological about that man. He's totally irrational.
Yeah, I don't like
if
Bill Maher.
HBO puts up with him, then I just joked on TV here about 2 years ago that I'd like to meet up with him in Madison Square Garden, put the Everlast on, and I beat the hell out of that punk. He goes on Larry King in a serious vein and says, Bill Donahue of the Catholic League threatened me with violence. What up?
Yeah, because you know what he did? You know what he did, though, Bill?
He gotta like Bill Donahue
He
for that.
took you
Come on.
literally.
Oh, he took you
He
literally.
took you literal, Bill.
all
But
right,
when
well,
you
good
was
point,
joking,
Patrice.
you were joking around figuratively. He should have known it, shouldn't he have, Bill? He should have known you were joking, Mr. Serious.
Lordy,
Huh?
lordy.
Oh my
Lordy,
goodness!
lordy.
You're threatening
Lordy,
life there.
lordy.
Jesus Christ, there. He had to figure. He had to know you were joking, didn't he,
Imus
Bill?
was joking, too, and look what happened to him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
you got
we weren't happy
railroaded.
about that one, Bill.
All right? Yeah,
we weren't
you
happy
can't
about
even go
that
there.
one.
Hey, we
Your
were
argument
joking.
collapses.
Yeah, but Bill, you don't know me, but do you know I was the first one to defend him?
Who?
Bill, Don Imus.
Yeah, Patrice fucked
Yeah,
up his
Patrice was-
TV career because he went on and defended Imus, and he hasn't been back since.
I defended Imus.
And he was great. He was great on TV. He did a lot of TV
Bill.
before that.
Right is right, and what you're doing is wrong.
I didn't
Because
ask
it's
for anybody to be
selfish.
fired.
It's selfish.
Huh?
Al Sharpton went for the jugular. And even after the man apologized, they still want to get him fired. I didn't ask for anything like
Then
that.
what's your end game as far as this Larry David thing goes? What would you like to see happen?
Look, I've never asked for the government to come in and resolve these problems for me. All I'm simply saying is this. I run an anti-defamation organization, and just like you have the ADL and NAACP and GLAAD and NOW and all these other different groups, when you see something that you think crosses the line, you're expected to draw public opinion to try and persuade them to your side. Some
All
people
not
agree,
funny
some
groups,
people
by the
don't
way.
agree.
None of them are funny.
That's true.
Like, why don't you stay and listen? This is the deal I make. Why don't you just stay in the realm where if somebody goes seriously, I will piss on Jesus's face. Stick to those people who seriously want to do that.
We had that.
Wait a minute.
We had that last year when
And-
a professor from the University of Minnesota intentionally took a consecrated host and drove a rusty nail through it to say, listen, I don't give a damn about the body and blood of Jesus Christ. I'm an atheist. His name is P.Z. Myers. There's a lot of animals.
Now,
out there
can you
like that.
agree? Can you agree that that Larry David was trying to be funny?
Yeah, look, I don't think that because somebody offends me, therefore he's necessarily a bigot. We all tell jokes that could offend somebody. What I know a bigot is when he does it over and over and over again. I do say there's a problem at HBO. This is the first time, to be fair to you. Okay, Patrice. Larry David, do we see that he's a recidivist, a repeat offender? No, he's not Joy Behar, some pathological bitch who constantly is going after the Catholic Church. Larry David is not that way.
Wow, I don't like her either.
You gotta love Bill's opinions.
Lord, I'm glad this is not like 1806, because he'd be riding down here on his cart. Boy, would I have no thumbs and a lot of tar and feathers on me.
How bad do you want to drink with Bill Donahue to find out what really goes on in that head?
Stop. I'd like to catch him doing something.
This is him under control.
This is just too much of a zealot, man. Stop that nonsense.
Look, I mean, Larry David has obviously moved on. He doesn't care that much. He's going to move on to the next target. He's made fun of cripples and everything else on the damn show.
The real problem there is HBO, because Sarah Silverman went after Catholics 2 weeks earlier, and whose show did she do it on? Bill Maher's show. And where's that shown on? HBO. So there is a problem over there at HBO.
Bill, let's just say it together. It's the Jews. It's always the Jews.
Let me address that very, very.
It's like Ali Fraser. Right? It's like Ali Fraser.
If you look at anti-Catholicism in this country from the time of the founding up through, I'd say about roughly through the mid 20th century, anti-Catholicism basically came from one group, Protestants. I would say over the last 50 years, it comes from two groups. Catholics who are alienated, 1 foot out the door, and left-wing secular Jews. Very little of it comes from Protestants. It's been a big change in the landscape.
Well, I still have home blasphemy.
Like this office meetings.
Hey, I like that one, home blasphemy office.
Right. We got a lot of religion and a lot of racism thing happening right now. What if Larry David did the same joke, but it was, I don't know, Malcolm X or Martin Luther King,
right?
And then his P got on like a portrait of
how about
MLK.
Obama?
All right, Obama. Let's go to the. All right,
it wouldn't be Bill. See, Bill's not.
It wouldn't be Bill. It would be Reverend Al.
Right, and that's what I was saying. It's this. This is where it gets messed up, Bill. You're a man. See, people historically who are for humanity, who are just for humanity, get killed in some kind of way. Jesus was for completely the opposite of what you stand for. He was for everybody being together. He didn't start a religion. He was starting like a movement of love. But wait a minute. No, what I'm saying is, Al Sharpton his job is to get offended with Malcolm X. Your job is to get offended with Jesus. Somebody else's job is to get offended with Muhammad. But the idea is there's no humanity there. It's still secular. It's still xenophobic. It's terrible behavior. We're not human anymore. You're doing what you're supposed to do. You're not angry at other things. You're not angry at cruelty to animals. You're not angry at genocide in Africa. Because, are you, Bill?
Cruelty to animals? I think this case before the Supreme Court I would come down on the side of saying that that's not protected speech under the First Amendment. When Madison talked about freedom of speech, there's a case that the Supreme Court has agreed to hear. They won't render a judgment till the spring. I don't think intentionally being cruel to animals should be freedom of speech.
Yeah, it's usually freedom of religion if you choke a chicken and then you do something like that. Yeah, it's cruelty.
There's not enough. Everything that's wrong should be mentioned by anybody on any group if it's just wrong.
Larry David has free speech. I have free speech. I didn't ask for anybody to get fired. I don't understand what the big stink is about.
You are a defender of the faith. So when he sees something he doesn't like,
he's a gatekeeper of the faith.
He speaks out. And makes people aware that him and his constituency are not happy with what went on. When it's taken over the line and people lose their jobs over it and things like that, then I have a problem with it. This guy can say whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, fair enough. But I would love these people. And when I say these people, I mean everybody who's an advocate.
Oh.
Please, could you just be fun for 5 seconds?
Listen,
do something frivolous.
Nothing fun about damnation.
Wait. He's got a sense of humor. Bill, what do you find funny? What do you find funny, Bill?
Who's your favorite comic?
Who's my favorite comic? I'll tell you what. For years I've liked Jerry Seinfeld. I mean, I think he's. And I have to say, Larry David's a brilliant guy because he created that show. Yeah. And I guess that was part of the thing that made us wince. To say, why would a guy that smart have to stoop this low? That's really.
Well, it's kind of cutting edge in a way. It really is because it wasn't perpetuated through the whole thing. It wasn't done with malice and stuff. It was part of the story.
That wheelchair episode was hilarious.
It's like as if you guys are saying that I'm painting him as if he's a Klansman or something. All I did was say, I put out a statement called "Urinating on Jesus," and I described what happened. And I didn't like it.
All right, I could deal with that. I'd like to actually have a few beers with Bill and let him start getting into that Sambo
keep
thing.
Up with me.
I know. Well, let me tell you.
Oh, wow, that's a challenge right there, Ant. Bill Donahue said you can't keep up with
I have 2 kegs in my house.
Do you have 2 kegs in your house, Bill, on tap constantly?
I have loads of kegs in my house. I live up to the stereotype of being Irish.
Damn, I'd like to do that, and I want to hear these little Sambo stories and everything out of him. You know, after a few beers, it's all just
right into
There's
all
no
those
coffee
jokes.
allowed in my house, just beer.
I sounded like a race joke.
Alcohol.
He's got those little black guys with the lanterns out front.
Yeah, I do.
He's laughing at that.
I got one out by
he
my
likes
pool.
that.
Dude, because we can hear it.
Guys,
and he can't have fun.
Bill, hold on. Bill's got to go. He's very busy
got
today.
another radio show I got to do. But hey, Patrice, you're a fun guy. Maybe sometime we'll go out together and we'll get loaded.
No.
Thanks a lot, Bill. Take it easy.